welcome back. Today I've got a little job to do on the 3D printer. Hopefully I'm then going to start printing the new version of Victoria the automaton's head, and I'm getting on really well completing the next 10 Nempnett Thrubwell kitchen timer kits. Remember, the Nempnett Thrubwell kitchen timer kit is designed so you don't need any specialist tools or equipment to create and build your own working steampunk machine. It comes with everything you need, and they're available on my website at steamhead.co.uk or on my Etsy shop at Steamhead Inventions. Lovely. Let's get on with seeing whether my 3D printer is likely to burst into flames. Because I've now finished designing Victoria's head, Victoria the automaton's head, and found that it's going to take 29 hours to print, I really want to just get this 3D printer printing and then leave it overnight and everything. And that was all fine, I used to do that, and then read somewhere that obviously with the powerful heaters that you've got in them, and if there's an error or fault or if the wire breaks, then earlier versions of this could just go into thermal runaway and overheat and cause fires. Obviously I don't like that idea, and I read somewhere the way to find out is to start it up, preheat it, and then unplug one of the thermistors, one of the little temperature sensors, hence the side view, and that's what I've done. And I've preheated it all and then unplugged it, and I'm very pleased because it's come up with this error: min temp printer halted, please reset. I'm now waiting to see whether it's going to cool back down or whether it has just gone in. Might know there's an error, but it's just going to sort of carry on regardless. There are the connections inside. This is the control of the circuit board with all the power control circuitry on it, and there's the row of connectors and the white ones on the left hand side. One of them that you can see I've taken the glue off so I can unplug it. That's the sensor that goes to the bed of the machine. I'm assuming, hopefully rightly, that if it does it for one sensor it's going to do it for both. That's what I've read somewhere, that if this is the new version, and this is apparently the only way to find out, there's no reference numbers, nothing else, versions, the only way is to actually do this. Now what I'm going to do is turn it back over and reset it as it says and see what the results are. Has it gone cold? You know what, I don't know where the reset button is, but if all else fails, that's the best reset button there. I'll switch it back on. Brilliant, look at that. So there's the nozzle temperature has gone back down to room temperature, and the bed temperatures, because it's a big lump of aluminium, it's taking time to cool down. But that means this version, if it senses a fault with broken wires on temperature monitors, sensors, it will automatically shut down. That's brilliant, because now I don't have to spend 29 hours sitting watching it print. I know you can theoretically stop these or switch the power off or pause them mid-print to change fibre or to go to sleep, but in the previous video I realised that every time I did that it moved a bit. Something moved, usually the bed of the machine, just as you thought it was all okay and had cooled down, it suddenly gave a little jerk backwards, which meant that you couldn't resume printing. It wouldn't line up. It's such a pain. But now I'm very pleased because I'll be able to start this going and then go to bed. Brilliant. Needless to say, I have installed a smoke alarm directly above it, and Spider-Man can keep an eye on it as well. Another day, another 3D print. It has now been going for 14 hours and 51 minutes and has completed 55%. Really lucky, because when I came down this morning, the front bit, I think this is the support for the eyeballs, was floating. It was just a pile of spaghetti, because it hadn't, for some reason, I don't know why, but it hadn't managed to start printing. So thankfully, come on, focus, thankfully I managed to build a little raft out of some masking tape just in time. I'm so pleased. So now that's perfect. The other really exciting thing is that the horns have arrived, and these ones are the proper ones, the patented ones. It is brilliant. The quality of these mouldings is so good. I don't have to have the mould line melting it or anything because it's so fine, beautifully produced. And I'm going to connect one up to the little pump to see what happens. There you have it, the horn, a little bit of adapter pipe and the 6-volt pump. Now we'll request 6 of your very best volts, please, Governor. Yes, excellent. Nothing, not a hesitation, not a little warble or a little bit weak, full on, in your face noise. Brilliant. And the only way to control the volume of these beautiful horns is to stuff a handkerchief down the top of them, and that does work very, very well. And I like to think that's reminiscent of Victorian engineering as well. What I'm going to do now is to paint all these. I'll consign these nasty Chinese rip-offs to hell. What a pain, having wasted all that lovely brass paint, never mind. And focus on the positives. Everything is now so untidy in here. Every flat surface covered with things, more flat surfaces in some cases. It's a bit like one of those puzzles where you've only got space to move one square. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to find some flat surface to sit all that on, possibly the top of the laser cutter, and then move the horns across, and then whatever. Look at that, problem solved. You have to get up early in the morning to get the better of Steamhead. Look at that, and the laser is still free. And remember, very shortly there'll be 10 new Nempnett Thrubwell kits available from my online shop at steamhead.co.uk and at my Etsy shop for international sales and sales to this country, the UK, Etsy Steamhead Inventions, or Steamhead Inventions. I need Etsy simply because PayPal that I use on my internet site doesn't support international sales. It does if you're in the US, but in the UK it doesn't. It's absolutely ridiculous. Finished painting the beautiful horns. Look at that, it's just stunning, isn't it? Metallic, it's just beautiful. So they're done. Kit parts so far are there. After 19 hours 37 minutes, we're 74% of the way through Victoria, the automaton's head. And you can see that's coming on nicely. No major disasters, having rescued that eyeball support thing. Just getting across the tops of the eye sockets. It seems to be working perfectly. I'll cut the top of her head off simply because it's going to be covered with hair of some sort, and it also means I can get into it to do all the complicated bits and pieces. Also very excited because all the kit parts and the electronic bits have arrived from Technobots. I've got the switches, I've got the battery builders, the Darlington pair controllers that switch the pump on and off, any 555 timers, capacitors, battery connectors. I've still got loads of resistors and other bits left over from prior times, but these are great. I'm so pleased to think of these, because the problem is, if you need to join components together, electronic components, you need to solder them ideally, or you can use a breadboard, and this is a small 170 hole breadboard. I was thrilled to find this with it's even got a sticky back so you can stick it inside the Nempnett Thrubwell, and it's fantastic. I spent a long time designing the circuit and developing a pretty good way, a really supportive way of showing people where to fix components. And this is on a sticky label, so the first thing that you do is to cut it out with a pair of scissors and stick it onto this breadboard. Make a little holes with a nail that I include to poke the wires through, and then you can start putting the components in exactly the right place. And I haven't heard from anyone having any problems with the electronics at all, which I'm thrilled about. Because having taught for years and years in secondary school, I know that I love electronics, so I want it to be fun, and I want people who are learning about it to really enjoy it. I don't want them to immediately get stuck and think, what on earth am I doing? My mobile phone can do whatever, and look what I'm doing with a few bits of wire. I want them to enjoy it and to very quickly have amazing achievements, or have made amazing achievements, and this really does seem to work well. Very, very pleased. I also include 2 of these just in case you get it wrong and it won't peel up. It's little things like that, you know, that make all the difference. Just a bit thoughtful. Just imagining someone sitting without any prior experience trying to build one of these and getting stuck. So wherever I can, I've tried to build in unsticking facilities and features. So that's exciting. I can now start putting together the electronic kits. Later in the day, 22 hours and 22 minutes in, 84%, and Victoria is looking good. No more major crises regarding unsupported things. A little bit of plastic spaghetti here and there, but she is looking good. And I'm starting on the electronic parts of the Nempnett Thrubwell kit. I'm so pleased I took these photos last year, so I know what sort of length of this wire, which is that, I need. It's one of those things, don't guess. You can't guess, you can't afford to guess, because you could get it wrong, you could underestimate or something. So I know exactly how much I need, wind it round, a bit of 22mm copper, and there you have it. Bob's your uncle. Make 10 of those up. Brilliant. It always amazes me how people can be so cheap with kits. Having 2 youngish children, lots of very kind people get them lovely scientific kits for birthdays, Christmases and things, and so often you start doing it and then you find that they haven't quite put enough wire in. I mean, you know, you look at that, there's tons on there. How much would it cost just to be a little over generous? I always like to let it run over either end a little bit. I mean, what is the point? And then wrap it around a copper pipe, and that is plenty. And I know even if people make mistakes, they're not going to run out. Look at that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more. Or even one of these. Here's some I prepared earlier, and these are so useful. If I cut a little bit of this wire off just to demonstrate, it means, because all the holes, electronic components, are all on a 0.1 inch pitch. So if I say want to have an electronic component, or indeed a piece of wire spanning say 4 holes, I know that if I use this jig, I'll put the wire around there, and I've made it thick so I know it's long enough to go in. I bend it round there and then snip it off, and I know, because that's number 4, that this will push in to 4 holes, like so, or like so. It's little things like that that make life so much easier. The kits are filling up, very exciting. Next job is this, and these are the semiconductors, and there's an NE555 timer, and I turn this over and the right way up, a TIP 120 60 volt 5 amp NPN Darlington transistor, which is brilliant for switching on and off the air pump. So if I dispense with trying to do that neatly, worked out that, poke that in there, and that will keep that nice and safe, and put one of the NE555 timers on, and the foam is good because it's not too springy, so you can push components in and they'll stay put. So that will keep them safe regardless of, you know, the polythene bag they're going to go in, this part of the kit. It could be rubbing around and creating all sorts of charges and things, but this will ensure that they're kept safe. So that's good, so I'll make 10 of them. And for those of you who know about electronic components and things, both the Darlington pair and the NE555 timer do have protection diodes across them, so theoretically, if you were to charge yourself up and touch one of the pins, they are protected, but it's just not worth it just to remove yet another possible problemo. Mild OCD alert. These are that way round and these are this way round. Heinous sin. But once I put the first one the wrong way round, they just look so nice arranged. Look at them. Beautiful. So nice, all arranged exactly the same, so I'm going to stick with that version for this lot of kits. Now this is marginally annoying, or pretty frustrating. I've come to the resistors. We need 6 resistors, 1k, which I have got loads of from the last kit. There we are. Resistors come on these long sort of carousel, I don't know what you'd call them, stringy things, because it allows robots to pick them up very easily when they are building circuit boards. So I've got 1Ks, tons, 10Ks, tons, 150 ohm, yeah, tons, 390 ohm, tons. You get the pattern here until you get to 82k. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Would you Adam and Eve it? How annoying. I have got higher power resistors. Obviously I had some last time when I first put the kits together, but these 82 k resistors are bigger, and I need to check. If they're not the right size, I've got 2 options. I can either order some from Radio Spares, RS, or I have to go through all my collections of electronic components and see whether I can find one that I didn't stupidly put back in the right drawer. Here's the 82 drawer, and I haven't got any in there. What a pain, so close. Could almost taste victory, but no, it wasn't to be. Well, thankfully, the larger power 82k resistors do actually fit on the jig. That is brilliant. I just want to get this done now. I want to get on with Victoria, who you can still hear being printed in the background. That is fantastic. So I can include one of those because the wires have got room to fold over and fit into the breadboard, and the power doesn't matter. Power with resistors literally means that they're bigger, and the little ones are fine, so that's great news. Lovely. Resistors a-okay. Now for the capacitors and the diode. The diode's there just to cancel out any back EMF that comes from the motor, the pump, because that could damage the circuits as well, but that's another topic for another day. So 1 diode, 3 capacitors. I think the final part is a nail. So once you've stuck the component guide on, you can then puncture each place where you need to put a component. Everything included. How fabulous. Electronic kits are finished. How fantastic. I'm so pleased. One step nearer to be able to be finishing the Nempnett Thrubwell kitchen timer kits. 1 day, 2 hours and 6 minutes. Didn't even know it could do days, but finally Victoria is finished.